Bless his name. Bless his holy name. Matthew chapter 11, where we want to look at today. Matthew chapter 11. So grateful to God to see one of you in church today.
Amen.
Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, my burden is light. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. That's good news. I want to talk about how to handle what's handling you.
All right.
How to handle what's handling you. My brothers and sisters, there are times in all of our lives that life can become very overwhelming for us. Webster defines overwhelmed as to be submerged under the weight of something, to be overtaken by a superior force, or to be overpowered by your thoughts and feelings. No matter how strong or how powerful you may appear to be, life can still be overwhelming. For many of us, life has never been a bed of roses. As a matter of fact, for that reason, we have gotten used to the struggle that comes along with life and living. It was Martin Luther King who said that sometimes life can be as tough as nails. The reality is, for many of us, it is the toughness of life that have helped to make us who we are right now. Some of us have had to handle tough things all of the days of our lives. As a matter of fact, it's because you have been used to tough times before. That's why you don't buy into the media's depiction of how things are right now as it relates to how tough things are, because this is not the first time you've seen some tough days.
All right.
But the reality is you've seen tough days before, and you survived them before, and as a result of that, you can agree with what David said when he declared, I was young and now I'm old, but never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging for bread. But on the other hand, my brothers and sisters, there comes a time when no matter out of all the things that you have handled in your life, there comes along things every now and then that will find itself having a handle on you. In other words, sometimes we are forced to deal with things in which we may feel that's too heavy for us to carry. We may feel that we've got to bear some things that's too burdensome for us to bear. And sometimes our burdens bring us to the point to where we feel like we just cannot take it anymore. And I say burdens. When I say burdens, I mean trials and tribulation, cares, worry, and heartaches. And the question before us is, what do you do when you experience burdens like this? And let me submit to you, just in case you've never been to that point, I want to tell you, just keep on living. Because in this life, it is given that burdens are going to come all of our way. And you need to know, as a matter of fact, that life is filled with both blessings and burdens. I think you ought to know, you ought to be reminded that in life, thank God, that it's not all blessings, but there comes along of the mixture of both blessings and burdens. Why, Reverend, do we need both blessings and burden? Because God knows if life was just all blessings, we would be beside ourselves. If life was all about blessings, some of us wouldn't be here right now. But God allows a few burdens to come on every now and then. But just like God does not give us all blessing, thank God that it's not all about burdens. Because if life was just all about burdens, then the reality is some of us would have thrown in the towel already. If life was all about burdens, some of us would have given up and given in. But the good news is that God gives us enough blessings to keep us encouraged, but he also gives us enough burdens to keep us praying. So here it is, in this little short verse, Jesus gives us clear teaching and understanding on what it is that we need to do with our burdens, because the fact of the matter is, I'm sure that half of us in this room today have burdens that we are dealing with right now, and therefore you need to make sure that you know how to take your burdens to the right place. Come on, elbow your neighbor and just tell them you got to take them to the right place. Because in understanding, the reality is in taking our burdens to the right place, you need to know that fleeing won't help you. In other words, you can run from your problems. You never will be able to run from the trials of life, because you understand, brothers and sisters, when you try to run from your problems, the very thing that you run away from, you will end up running right into. There is a true story about a woman whose name was Patricia Christie, and she was a resident in Florida. And back in 1992, when Florida was devastated by Hurricane Andrew, she decided, while standing in line waiting for food, that she made up in her mind that she was going to run as far away from her problems as possible. And the story is that she boarded the first available flight and headed to the restful and peaceful island in Hawaii. And she arrived just in time to deal and run into Hurricane Nikki. What I'm trying to tell you is she ran from a hurricane in Florida and met a hurricane in Hawaii. Why? Because she learned the hard way that you never can run from your problems. I wish I had somebody here that could testify that maybe it was not a hurricane that you were running from, but you understand the fact that you've got to learn how to deal with your problems head on, because you might try to pack your bags and get on a plane only to discover when you get to your destination, check in your hotel room and unpack your luggage, you will discover that the same problems you tried to leave would have gotten in your baggage and followed you where you were going. So you just got to learn how to take your burdens to the right place.